Hey guys, DClawed here. In this video, I'm going to be doing something that I've been asked about a lot lately, and that's my key bindings that I use for my druid. A lot of people wonder about like how I use F8 or certain things like that, like what these ones are that you guys can't read, and how I shift quickly, a lot of stuff like that. One thing I would recommend is pausing the video right here. I'm going to put a little guide somewhere on the screen right now that'll explain what these F8s are, because basically what happened was when I got my keyboard, the A, S, and F keys stopped working, so I had to rebind the A key to like the delete key next to the number pad, and the S key to the end key next to the number pad, and the F key to the page down next to my number pad. So when I type, I have to use the delete end and down page to press F. So I rebound F to like F8 and stuff like that. Like I had to bind them differently because they would just randomly stop working. Like I would be stuck like this is my normal profile. I can't press F or anything. Can't move backwards or sideways. But we're gonna go ahead and take a look at a regular keyboard right now. And one thing I would highly recommend is unbinding a lot of things that the game thinks you should already have bound. Like C opens your character page, etc. Like there's a bunch of things that the game already implements for targeting and doing miscellaneous things in your game. Like I said before, the delete end and page down right here, those are what I bound to A, S, and F. Basically, what I would recommend is taking your movement keys. Like most people use WASD, which I use obviously because it's what we're so accustomed to. It's something easy. It's close to 1, 2, 3. It's close to tabs. It's close to caps lock, and it's just very convenient to use on a regular basis. So a couple keys that are really close to WASD are like Q, E, R, T, F, G, the ones below it, Z, X, C, Z, C, V. Those are very convenient buttons to press. They're really easy. You can move your finger off quickly. My kick key on all of my characters is F. I use T for any heal that I have to cast, like on my priest if I have to cast Flash of Light. Or Flash Heal, sorry. I press T. On my druid I press T for Healing Touch. For a lot of things, such as focusing, I don't use my keyboard. I use my Razer Naga. I have a Razer Naga that I use for my mouse, and for targeting I use it has a little number pad on the side, and I use 1, 2, and 3 for target arena enemy 1, 2, 3, and then I use shift 1, 2, 3 for focusing those enemies. And then a lot of my things that are focus macros I'll use also bound on my keyboard, and then on my mouse. And a lot of my burst macros, etc., are bound to my mouse also. Another thing, whenever I want to switch forms, I use my scroll wheel, and this is something that I would highly recommend for anyone. If I want to go bear form, mouse wheel down. If I want to go cat form, mouse wheel up. If I want to go cheetah form, I use shift mouse wheel down. And it's same thing for aquatic, since forms got changed up a lot in this patch. Like you used to have flight form, we used to have completely separate keys bound for everything, but now travel form is all bound into one thing. And then a couple like certain things like these macros on the right here at the very top. These are all my focus macros, like Alt and then the 8 key on Razer Naga. I'll put a picture of a Razer Naga up so that you guys can tell what I'm talking about. Alt plus this plus the 8 key on my Naga, that's gonna be root target. Alt plus the one above it, which is 5, is maim target. 5 by itself is kick target, and 8 by itself is bash target. For my my focus clone macro, I press F1, and for my fairy fire focus, I move the mouse wheel to the side because the Razer Naga has that ability. It has that implemented to where you can move the mouse wheel like left and right as a separate button, and it also has these 2 buttons that are below the mouse wheel that I use. I use the one for mounting, which I bind to my buff, which is really helpful because every time you get in an arena, the first thing you're going to do out of habit normally is mount up. So that's super easy. Just buff while you mount. It's completely simple. It's not on GCD. It's great. So yeah, a bunch of people, when they start the game, all they have is one action bar, and it's bound 1 through 0, and they wonder like, how am I supposed to press all these keys? Like they open up their spell book, they've got like 6,000 abilities that they have to learn how to use, and I want you guys to know that it's not going to take like 10 seconds to get used to key binding. It's not going to take 10 seconds to figure out all of your abilities. It's going to take time, but it would be great if you're just starting out PvPing, if you're getting into it, or if you've been doing it for a while and you can't figure out why you're not getting high up in rating. A lot of things that helped me. I used to be like a 1500 player. I couldn't get past 1500. I didn't know what to do. I would always just run into an arena and pop full burst and kill whatever person I saw first. But you have to start thinking out, like you have to start thinking about the other enemies. You can't just focus on one enemy. If you're doing 2s or 3s, whatever, 3s you're going to be changing your focus a lot. 2s you're going to be consistently focusing on one person, but you have to pay attention to your target and your focus. In 3s you have to pay attention to all 3 targets. That's why Gladius is such a great add-on, because it tells you what they're doing all the time. But yeah, you always have to be focused on what's going on. So you need to learn to use your focus buttons. You need to learn to use focus macros. And trust me, this is going to help a lot. Kick focus, because a lot of people will completely change their target to the enemy and then they'll cast kick. It's not fast enough that way. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I can do it really fast. I can move over and click their thing and cast my kick. But it's so much easier to just press one button and instantly kick your focus. So if they're casting like a clone, or if there's a mage casting poly, just focus kick them. For ranged like melee, I mean not melee, sorry. If for ranged classes such as mage, like spellcasters, hunters, I would recommend using a kick arena 1, kick arena 2, and kick arena 3, and have those all bound to buttons that you can easily access. The reason being is your kick has a much longer range than feral druid kicks. Otherwise I would have like alt 1 2 3 on my Naga bound to like kick arena 1 2 3. But since our kick range is really short, like yeah, we have a ranged kick kind of, but it's not as ranged as like silence or counterspell, things like that. But again, like I said, you really need to take advantage of your keyboard. Some people work differently than others. Like for some reason I really can't explain why my pinky does not like, my pinky just doesn't work. I don't know what it is. I guess you could call it Swifty's pinky, but it just doesn't work. Like I can't, like a lot of people bind control to something, I can't, my finger will just slip off control if I try to press it. It like is weak or something. I don't know. I need to work out my pinky more. But I use my ring finger for shift. I'll take it off of A and just move down to shift if I need to do something. I use my thumb for alt, alt is one of my favorite modifiers in the game. What modifiers do also, before I forget, modifier makes it to where you can hold that button. That button by itself will not, you can't bind it to an ability. You can't make an ability alt. I guess you could, but you'd have to like go through a bunch of things through Razer Synapse or whatever keyboard you have and make it its own key instead of a modifier. Think of it like if you type A by itself, it's going to be lowercase, but if you hold shift and press A, it's going to be uppercase, right? Well, you can do the same thing with modifiers such as shift, control, and alt. If you hold shift and press an ability, it can be a completely different ability than if you just press the normal ability. So for example, like alt 1 is my rejuvenation and regular 1 is shred or whatever, wrath, depending on which form I'm in. Another thing great for druids to get into the habit of is making your cat form abilities whichever, like in cat form my abilities are bound to 1 2 3 4 5. 5 being prowl, 1 being shred, 2 being bite, 3 being rake, 4 being rip. If for some reason you get knocked out of cat form and you're too focused on like what's going on with your enemies and you're just pressing 1 2 3 and stuff, then you're just gonna be running around like in human form not doing anything. So it's great to bind these abilities. I use rake like I can't even explain how much I use Rake. I use it way too much. I should be using it a lot less than I do, but I use Rake a lot. So I bind Claws of Chevral at a 3 in human form, and so if I'm trying to spam Rake or Shred or put a Rip or go Stealth again, I'll press one of these buttons and it'll instantly put me back in Stealth, into cat form I mean. And then I have the same ability that I have for Prowl bound to another cat form ability, so I can just double press 5 and go cat form really quick. And then take advantage of your scroll wheel again, like I said. A lot of great things that you can. There's just a lot that goes into keybinding, and it can get really confusing. Like someone opens their spellbook and they're like, oh crap, I have like, what is this? 6, 12, 24, 36, tons of abilities that just they see the, like when you load into the game, this is all you see. You see one action bar. This is it. When you first start your game, when you start out as a beginner, this is all you see. And it's bound 1 through like 0 or something. And people are like, well, I have like 0 freaking room for all these spells. Take advantage of all your action bars. I use every single action bar on every character. A lot of people have things such as like Omnibar or things that can modify what your action bars look like. That's good too. I like the default UI, so I use that. Another thing I do is I use numbers for cooldowns and ability toggle. Ability toggle is extremely helpful for feral druids. When selected, you will be protected from toggling your abilities off if accidentally hitting the button more than once in a short period of time. If I take this off and I try to go cat form, it'll take me right back into human form because I scroll up. So if I'm trying to like go cat form really quick, it takes in the fact that I went into cat form, and if I scroll up a little too far, it'll say, oh, he wants to get out of cat form, let's put him in human form. And that was confusing me for the longest time ever, and I could not do anything about it. I was so confused, and then one of my friends was like, here, turn on ability toggle. And now when I scroll up, if I scroll up too far, it'll leave me in cat form, and it's just amazing. So yeah, guys, and like I said, just don't give up on your ability to play World of Warcraft. I mean, it might be in its dark ages right now. A lot of complaints about World of Warcraft. Just it's not doing too great, but I still have faith in the game. I feel like it's gonna make a comeback. 6.2 is coming out really soon. That'll be fun. But yeah, I mean, stick with it, guys. Don't get too scared of all your key bindings. Just take your time, learn your key bindings, and eventually it's going to become so much easier. Thanks, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. Make sure to go check out my Twitch channel because I'm going to try to stream more often. I haven't been streaming too much lately just because I haven't been getting too many viewers, but I have been told to stream more, that like people will come and watch. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitch, then there will be a link in the description for my Twitch channel. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Have a good one, guys.